Hey guys, welcome to my spoiler review of Logan. In this video I'm going to delve more into the plot points of the film and let everyone know my opinion on some story aspects and how the story goes and how it ends and everything in this movie. So bear in mind, I have warned you, this film will be full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie first, check out my non-spoiler review, and then come and check out this spoiler review of the movie. So you have been warned, guys. So where do I start? Basically, this is like what Hugh Jackman's best performance in the role, and it has been cited before. He has done interviews, and he said that this is going to be his last performance as Logan, Wolverine, and Patrick Stewart has kind of said the same about Charles Xavier, although he has in a couple of interviews recently said he would come back for more. But it ends where, I kind of expected it to end that way, in a way, I've said, with everything that they've said about it being the last performances, and I think it ends brilliant, but I'll go more into the end later on. The violence in the film is absolutely fantastic. There's a scene in it where, well, it's the opening scene basically. He wakes up in his limo, and there's some Mexican bangers, as they're called, stealing the hubcaps off his tyres, and he goes out and he warns them. They shoot him with a shotgun. He gets back up, and then he just goes to town on them. And there's limbs and heads, and people's faces getting impaled, and limbs and heads flying off, and everything. It's just very violent, and they did promise it was going to be a very violent film, and it lives up to what it promised. It is very violent, but it's not there. It's not violent for the sake of being violent. It's not like they've gone, oh, Deadpool was an R-rated film and that was violent, so we'll do a violent film now. At the end of the day, Wolverine is a violent character in the comics. He always has been. And unfortunately, the other films haven't allowed Wolverine to be as violent as he should be. So this is a great way to go out. If this is the definitive last Wolverine film, then this is the definitive version. This is the best I've seen Wolverine. This is Hugh Jackman's best performance in the role. It's fantastic. X-23, she's fantastic as well. She is a violent character too, but what do you expect when she's Wolverine's clone in the comics, but in this she's his daughter. I suppose she's technically his clone. She has been created through his stored genetics from the Weapon X program from Alkali Lake. The movie is set 6 years after the end of Days of Future Past, when Logan wakes up at the end of that. It's all happy ending. He's saved the future. But it is 6 years later. And from what it looks like, in that 6 years, mutants have been dying out. And from what I can tell, it's down to the food, basically. The corn syrup and everything. They've decided that's the way, and that kills the mutant gene. So no new mutants have been born in like 25 years. It stays in the film. And then during that time, Professor X has started having a degenerative brain disorder, which gives him seizures, which then transfers his powers, and he starts affecting everyone around him. In the film, it shows him doing it a couple of times, where pretty much giving everyone seizures around him, or he's like frozen them, and they look like they're in excruciating pain. But going by, it doesn't delve too much into it. But Professor X, it sounds like, going by what it says on the radio and what he admits to it halfway through the film, it sounds like he had one of those at the X-Mansion and he killed 7 X-Men. Doesn't say which X-Men, but you imagine it's the main ones. Cyclops, Storm, Jean, Beast, Iceman, all the main X-Men who were at the end of the movie of Days of Future Past. Sounds like he's killed them. Kind of an unfortunate end for the X-Men in a way, but it kind of works. I mean, people have said a lot about the continuity problems in the X-Men series, but in a way, it doesn't really. The only films that have major continuity problems are the two worst ones, which is The Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine. Logan works, you know, as a film in continuity-wise after Days of Future Past, because, like I said, it's 6 years later. Although, in a way, a lot seems to have happened to Wolverine as well. You know, he does seem in a bad way in that 6 years. He seems to have aged a lot. His healing factor's not working properly. You know, when he shrinks his claws out, one of them only comes out halfway and he has to pull it out, and that looks painful, and you know, it's taking longer to heal and stuff. And it sounds like the adamantium, what's bonding to his skeleton, is poisoning him and slowly killing him. But yeah, you know, I liked Stephen Merchant as Caliban in this. I didn't think he was going to have a big role, but he does have like quite a decent sized role, to be honest. Again, this is the second appearance from Caliban in the X-Men films. He was in the last film, X-Men Apocalypse, played by a different actor. But, you know, I don't think it, you know, didn't mesh with Apocalypse. Alright, he had a foreign accent in Apocalypse, but that was like set in the 80s, and this is in 2029, and in this one he's got an English accent. You know, that accent could come over time, so that didn't really bother me. They looked similar. You know, it was the tracker from the comics, that was his power, tracking mutants. And yeah, I thought Stephen Merchant was really good. It was a more serious role from what I've seen him in before, but still funny, if that makes any sense. But I did really like his performance. I thought it was really good. Patrick Stewart is really good in the role. This is meant to be his last performance in the role, and if it is, it's a brilliant way to go out. Richard E. Grant is not really in it much, but he really just like gives exposition and stuff. So you know, the film wouldn't have missed him not being in it. It's, you know, the Reavers were fantastic villains. Boyd Holbrook, he has a nasty death in this, where pretty much all the young mutants which have been in the labs, they meet up with them at the end and they get captured by the Reavers, and then pretty much all the mutants use their powers on Donald Pierce. You know, there's one what controls like nature, it looks like, so she gets all the grass to like start tying him down, and then it looks like it's crushing him. Then another's like got freeze breath, she's freezing him. Another's got electric powers, and you can see his bones break. You can hear his bones breaking from inside and then his neck. And it's like, that's a nasty death. That's a bit over the top death, that, because they all use his powers on him. There was a surprise villain in this, which was Hugh Jackman. He plays a character again called X-24, which is like a cloned evil version of Wolverine. And I did actually like him in this. You know, when the first time I saw him, I thought it was Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth, because they've got the same, you know, the same haircut. For a couple of seconds, I thought, is that Sabretooth? But then I realised it was Hugh Jackman, and he kills Professor X. I kind of expected Professor X to die. It was sad when he died, but you know, it was. I've read some comments saying, why didn't he sense that X-24 was in the room with him? And he probably did, and it was his time to admit his sins, you know, for what he's done to the X-Men in the past, in a way. But yeah, you know, how do I feel about Professor X's death? I was expecting it. It's sad, but you know, it was a good way to go out. It was a good film to end Professor Charles Xavier's story. You know, we've gone through pretty much all his life in this X-Men series, so that was a good way to end it. But yeah, the X-24 character is really quite chilling in this. With the first time I saw it, it's kind of like a Terminator type character, but with Wolverine's claws. He's violent in this. Well, chops a few heads off and arms and stuff when some rednecks come round. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, X-23, she's brilliant. I don't know if they're gonna carry on any like storylines with X-23 and the young mutants, what it showed at the end, escaping. But yeah, they could do, you know, that they work. I did actually like the young mutants that it showed in the film. There was one character called Richter, who's from the comics. He was a member of X-Force and X-Factor and everything. So yeah, like I said, you know, but in the past, is it Hugh Jackman's performance? It highly likely is. He might cameo in Deadpool or whatever, but I kind of hope he doesn't, to be honest. I kind of hope that this is Hugh Jackman's final performance. He's done like 7, you know, proper performances now, and then cameos in the 3, like First Class, Apocalypse, and Deadpool. But this is the best performance of Hugh Jackman, and it's a fantastic way to go out. He dies at the end of the movie. It's a good ending in a way, you know, when he gets buried and X-23 does a speech, and then she changes the cross on his grave to an X, and it ends on that shot. Did I like the way he died? Yeah, in a way, you know, I liked it. You know, it was a good way to die, to be honest. He sacrifices himself pretty much for the kids. It beats, you know, X-24 kills him. Like I said, his mutant healing factor's not working anymore. It's sad that he's dead, but I kind of expected Logan to die as well. You know, with all the things that they've been saying about it being his final performance and everything. And like I said, it's a good way to go out. It is his best performance in the entire franchise as Wolverine. It's the best Wolverine film. Not sure where I rank it in the X-Men franchise, but it's up there. Probably in my top 3 or 4. It's definitely in my top 5 X-Men films. And yeah, it's just a really, really good film. Really brilliant. I loved it. Let me know down below, guys. Did you love this film, or where does it rank in the X-Men series? You know, where do you rank it? Is it in your top 5? Is it your number 1? Let me know what do you think of how the movie ended. Were you happy with Wolverine and Professor X dying? What do you think of X-23, 24, and the Reavers and Donald Pierce? What do you think of all these characters from the comics and, you know, are now brought to life on screen? And yeah, I've got no more to say apart from the fact that I absolutely love this movie. It's, you know, I gave it in my review, my non-spoiler review, an A+, and I still stand by that. It's, you know, absolutely brilliant. Like and share my channel, guys, and remember, stay heroic.